Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. The Citizenship By Investment Program, the CBI, high on the agenda of the new St. Kitts and Nevis administration. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday, 10th October 2022. Details when we return.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. Regional governments will be best advised to collaborate to address concerns of the EU and the future of the CBI program, which is a priority for the Drew administration in St. Kitts and Nevis. Andre Huey of St. Kitts and Nevis Newsline has more.
The future of the Citizenship By Investment Program is an area of focus of the Terence Drew administration, especially in light of potential threats by the European Union to remove visa-free travel to their member states. Visa-free access is one of the attractions of the Citizenship By Investment programs in the Caribbean. Wealthy applicants from countries that normally would need a visa to enter the European Schengen region would have easier access with a St. Kitts Nevis passport or another passport from an OACS country. Removing visa-free access to European countries can seriously damage the CBI program, making it unattractive to these applicants. As such, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, in an exclusive interview with SK Newsline recently, said addressing these concerns raised by the European Parliament a few months ago is one of his priorities.
In general, there is some work to be done to make sure that we keep it stable. For example, when I got in, there was information on my desk that we needed to communicate with the Europeans, that I had to quickly pull the team together to make sure that we meet the deadlines and so forth.
We've heard in recent times that Europeans in particular have expressed concerns about the visa-free access that St. Kitts and Nevis and other countries that have CBI programs in the Caribbean. They have concerns about those countries and about those programs.
We're looking at that in the long term as well. As I told you, I met some documentation on my desk in terms of responding to the Europeans, which we did. I brought a committee together, and that committee, we would have put with the CIU that information together so that we can get it to European. And so we're going to keep that committee in place.
Political and social commentator Dwyer Astavan believes the leaders of CBI countries should come together and address this issue collectively.
In order for us to standardize this CBI business and save it, we're going to have to collaborate with the other islands that do it. Otherwise, we're going to fail by 2025. The European Union will block us out, and that's the end of us. They don't want to block us out from making a living. They know we don't have oil, we don't have these things. So we need something to give us cash flow. All they're saying, just do it transparently, do it properly.
Some European parliamentarians have recommended for the EU to issue an ultimatum to countries offering CBI schemes to end these programs or risk losing their visa-free status. St. Kitts and Nevis has one of the oldest CBI programs in the world, which started in 1984. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
The ECCB celebrates 39 years of service to the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. More in this SKN Newsline report.
The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, is celebrating 39 years of maintaining the stability of the EC currency and unwavering service to the government and people of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. To mark its 39th anniversary, the management staff, retirees, and well-wishers of the ECCB joined the congregation at the Pentecostal Church of God, St. Kitts, on October 2nd for divine worship. During his address at the service, the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Timothy Antoine, paid tribute to the founders, framers, and all others who had contributed to the stability that the ECCB brings to the region.
And I could not help but pay tribute to all of our founders and framers, people like Sir Cecil Jacobs, and Sir Dwight Venner, and Sir Errol Allen, and many others, some of whom have retired and are still here, and some have gone on. And I want to just recognize all those who have contributed to the stability that the ECCB brings to us. Many of us take the stability for granted because all we know is one EC dollar, one US dollar, 2.7 EC dollar. And we've known that for years, all our lives. We forget when there was a time when it was not like that. That decision was made in July 1976. And because of that decision, we are enjoying stability. And until recently, relatively low inflation. And I know right now inflation is top of mind for all of us, but inflation will eventually get back under control.
He also encouraged citizens and residents of the ECCU to participate in ventures that promote wealth creation, which he says is an important step to personal, national, and financial resilience. Governor Antoine advised that investing in the regional and international stock markets is one pathway to wealth creation. The ECCB was established on October 1st, 1983, as the Monetary Authority for Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. UWI Five Islands campus advances in spite of attempts to politicize it. Jamie J. Roger of ABS News reports.
And I've seen some little trivial issues being utilized in the public space to undermine the UWI Five Islands brand. Again, there is no value in that type of behavior.
Prime Minister Donald Gaston-Brown says all Antiguans and Barbudans should support the UWI Five Islands campus, since it plays a critical role in developing this country's human capital resource. He laments the behavior of some people who ridiculed the campus on social media after a water pump blowout Thursday.
UWI should not be the subject of battleground politics. There's no value in it. And I give an undertaking here that if perchance we find ourselves in opposition at any point in the future, certainly not at the next general elections, there's no way that I will entertain a Labour Party led by me or any other using UWI Five Islands as a political football. It should not happen.
The Prime Minister says the Five Islands campus is one of the fastest growing campuses in the hemisphere, increasing from 173 students in 2019 to over 700 3 years later. He says the campus's enrollment will continue to increase exponentially, and a US $75 million loan from friendly government will jumpstart its physical expansion plans.
We have been assured that by the end of this month, we should have the first $40 million available. And I want to tell you that that loan or that investment will be a game changer.
Prime Minister Brown says, in addition to developing the country's human capital resource, the university will contribute significantly to its socio-economic development. Jamie J. Roche, ABS News.
In the meantime, Sir Hilary Beckles spoke on the growth of the UWI Five Islands campus.
Critically, it has a set of programs on the science and technology platform, which is precisely what we want to do, to build out the blue economy here, build out the digital economy, to create programs in robotics and computer science for the next generation of young people who are digitally driven. So the campus programs are very relevant, and I think this explains why there's such significant growth. We expect that there will be maybe 2,000 or 3,000 students in the next year or two, and it's growing at one hell of a rate, which is really very, very good. And it has to do with relevance, and it has to do with quality. And importantly, we are building appetite. We are building appetite for higher education.
In other news, Haiti is preparing to seek military assistance to retake its main fuel depot seized by a conglomerate of gangs which has sought to plunge the impoverished and crisis-riddled nation into further turmoil.
Haiti is preparing to seek military assistance from the international community to confront gangs that have blocked the country's principal fuel port. The Miami Herald reported on Friday, citing sources with knowledge of the decision. The government's Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, plans to make the written request Friday to allied nations without specifying where the troops should come from. A representative of the Prime Minister's office did not respond to a request for comment. Haiti has ground to a halt since a coalition of gangs blocked the Varo fuel terminal last month. The lack of gas and diesel has crippled transportation and forced businesses and hospitals to halt operations, which resulted in a number of violent protests, followed by looting and robberies. Closure of businesses has also led to a shortage of bottled water, just as the country has confirmed a new outbreak of cholera, the spread of a virus which is controlled through hygiene and clean water.
Donville Innes, a former Barbadian government minister accused and convicted of taking a bribe and money laundering in the United States, failed in his bid to succeed an appeal to overturn his 2-year sentence.
Ex-Barbados government minister Donville Innes has lost an appeal to overturn a U.S. conviction for laundering bribes connected to insurance contracts through a New York-based business. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit on Wednesday rejected arguments from Innes against his 2020 conviction on 3 money laundering-related counts for moving bribe money through the bank account of his friend's dental business. Innes was found guilty in connection with the receipt of $36,000 Bajan in bribes from Insurance Corporation of Barbados Limited, paid in 2015 and 2016 to induce him to steer government work to the company. The money was first sent to a friend's Long Island, New York-based dental company, then transferred to him. He was sentenced in 2021 to 2 years in prison. Though Innes contested the charges at trial, on appeal his lawyer did not argue over whether the bribery occurred. Instead, he tried to argue that the conduct wasn't technically money laundering because he did not launder the money after it was sent from the dental business. Innes' lawyer later conceded that case law for New York rejects that type of defense to a money laundering charge, but urged the appeals court to reconsider. The court said the law is clear. The appeals court also rejected arguments from Innes that the jury instructions were faulty.
The Trinidad and Tobago Calypso fraternity has been plunged into mourning on account of the passing of Winston Explainer Henry. TTT has more.
The Trinbago Unified Calypsonians organization, TUCO, made the announcement on its Facebook page a short while ago. TUCO says it is with great sadness that we announce the passing of composer, calypso extraordinaire, icon and father Winston Explainer Henry, who departed this life today, October 7th. Explainer, whose career spanned 43 years, produced memorable tunes like Ras Mas and the immortal Lorraine, just to name a few. Explainer also composed for many artists and was a mentor to young calypsonians, including Devon Seal, Karine Ashe, Rondell Donowa, Chuck Gordon, Victoria Cooper, to name a few.
I got Mr. Shaman with all the steam I'm beating. I know my back I'm shaking. If you don't fight your baby, let you must start enjoyment. It's like a baby steamer, jamming with someone moving. All stars, all stars. All stars! All stars! Yeah!
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.